Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Today is Christmas Eve, December 24th, 2025, and it is just about 6 o'clock in the morning here on a Wednesday. Some people might say, I think it's Wednesday. I don't think it's Wednesday, but I do know it is Wednesday. And it's about 6 o'clock. Here we are in southwestern Nevada, southern Nevada, as we're now saying it for the show, the Southern Nevada News Network, the Nevada frontier, home, yes, it is home for, we'll figure that one out as the show goes along. Starting January 10th is the first episode. Well, today we're going to talk about something we haven't talked about for a long time, but it's one of my favorite subjects. It is Clarke's fourth law, and we're going to apply it to religion. Who knew? Who knew? So let's get ready. Get your coffee. I have my no-dose special collagenated mushroom infused drink. I woke up this morning early because I crashed last night, like around 8 o'clock. I literally drugged myself to bed. I don't remember what I did, but I was like, wow, never done this before. It's total boom. So, but then I woke up early. Started working on the book, volume 2. And that's where Clarke's fourth law comes in. We'll talk about that later, but it is Christmas Eve, the day in the manger, the day before everything changed. Let's see, it looked like somebody just popped in here. Nope. Yeah, okay, let's just get started. Advice from an 80-year-old. Can't live without advice from an 80-year-old. Think twice before burdening a friend with a secret. Right. Why should you think twice? What's the key word in there? Secret? No, burdening. What does it mean? Oh, here we go. Nope. Christmas Day. What does it mean to burden, put a load upon someone? If we're going to share a secret with someone, what does that mean we're doing? Taking the burden off of us to keep it secret and passing it along to someone else. So we want to think twice before we do that. Think twice before doing that. Right. Probably the best approach is to say, if you want to keep it a secret, don't tell me, because I can't promise I will not share it. So if you're worried about it being shared, don't tell me. The wind is coming up. It's supposed to be storms today. It's supposed to be flood watch conditions. I only say that for posterity. And by the way, we haven't had any snow. There is snow on Mount Charleston. Not a lot, but it's there. It's been there since at least Thanksgiving. So we'll see how long it continues. I remember one year, maybe it was 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago that it lasted until July. The snow was still up on the mountain. Mountain? I think that's not right. Okay. Bonk. Whatever that means. Right. Really. Okay, let's look at Seth Godin. Popular new ideas. They seem like they'll spread to everyone and stick around forever. That almost never happens. In order to spread to everyone, they need to move beyond the people who are looking for a new idea. And that happens when existing users have a powerful reason to tell their friends. In other words, don't keep it a secret. Keep it remarkable. Look for the remarkable. Make something remarkable. Not only that, but the idea has to solve a real problem for people who weren't sure that there even was a solution to that problem. That would be one way to make something remarkable. Provide a solution to a problem where people thought there was no solution. Clarke's fourth law. Inerrancy. And in order to stick around forever, there needs to be a generous lock-in, a reason to not only keep using it, but to not switch to the next thing. The network effect plus stickiness almost never happens after the idea is launched. It's about marketing in the powerful design sense, not promotion. There needs to be a generous lock-in, a reason to not only keep using it, but to not switch to the next thing. The network effect plus stickiness almost never happens after the idea is launched. So you have to let's go back. In order to spread to everyone, they need to move beyond the people who are looking for a new idea. Okay, so there's people looking for a new idea. But to be popular, it has to spread to everyone. And that happens when existing users have a powerful reason to tell their friends. When somebody has a problem, especially a problem they don't think there's a solution to, when there's a solution to an unsolvable problem, the people whose problem solved spread the idea. And in order to stick around, there needs to be generous lock-in, a reason to not only keep using it. Okay, cool. Need to think about that, ponder that. Riddle me this. All right. Today is day 3 in week 4. So this week we're talking about leadership, getting people to do what we want, and the spectrum of crisis to perfect. Yesterday was perfect. Monday was crisis. Today we're now dealing with what's between those. Sometimes there's a crisis, sometimes it's perfect, but mostly it's in between those two things. And that is where Ignatius comes in. Ignatius of Loyola, not Ignatius of Antioch. Ignatius of Loyola, who came along about 1,500 years later. Let's say almost 1,500 years later, but had more of an impact on more people, though perhaps not more influential, just more of an impact. Okay, so we're now going to learn for the next couple days, next 3 days, the in-betweenness of sometimes it's crisis, sometimes it's perfect, the in-betweenness. And hopefully is actually sawtoothing upward. And this is a guy, I'm just going to say, Ignatius is a guy after all of our own hearts. And I would say, if each of us lived the life he had lived, we each would have come to the same conclusions he did. And I think we can say that about everyone. I certainly think it about me. I don't think I'm special. I think anyone who lived the life I lived would see the world the way I see the world. In other words, I don't see the world because I'm special. I see the world because of the circumstances to which I was raised and the gifts that I have, the gift of my body, my brain, and my emotions. Those are gifts, things I did not earn. However, I cultivated them. I had the potential to have a good body that had endurance and able to do things like the peloton, new record today, quickest time to 220 output, whatever that means, quickest time. So now up to about, about 7 miles in 20 minutes. Going uphill both ways. I would say, anyway, doesn't matter. So body, gift, but I cultivated it. Brain, gift, but I cultivated it by going to school, by learning things, by not damaging my brain. And emotions, gift of emotions, but I cultivated them so that I do my best to keep them under control. I don't like other people to control my emotions. I don't like to be hard. I repel the idea of being hard like glass. I'm so hard, you can't. Unfortunately, the problem with glass is the right amount of pressure in the right place causes it to shatter. I have the image of leather. Leather can take a beating all day long and keep coming back for more. In fact, the more use you give leather, the better it is. Think about shoes, boots. Think about belts. Think about gloves, especially baseball gloves. Think about those kinds of things. They improve with wear. Glass does not. It chips, it breaks, it shatters. All right, so we've gone down that rabbit hole. Now we've got to climb out of that rabbit hole. But Ignatius is a man after our own heart. Why? Well, because this says state pen workbook. This is for people in prison. This is a course for that. And Loyola is a man after our own hearts. A guy who had many run-ins with the law, a guy who thought he was above the law at first and had many run-ins with the law, did not follow their advice of stop doing this or else. Pushed it to the limit, paid the price, kept coming back for more. Was reverential, praying, give me, show me, help me understand your will. One day had a vision at the Cardinal River, and that led to a unexpected and surprising turn of events that took about another 6 or 8 years to claw his way out to the university. I couldn't resist doing that. The University of Paris, where he meets Xavier and Faber, who then bring in his first followers from last week, who then bring in a couple more, not a couple more, like 7 more guys. And now we have a critical mass to start doing the Seth Godin thing, the David Logan thing, the David Phillips thing, the Derek Sivers thing. Okay, doing that, the Simon Sinek thing. So that caused that to occur and spiraled up to the point where the largest largest educational system throughout the world is the result of this guy who thought he was above the law, had everything taken from him, went crazy, had a vision, and then pursued that vision. Always, though, with the thought that if it should collapse after 15 minutes of crying about it, he would pick up his marbles and keep moving forward in some other way. All right, so that's today. Good lesson, and tomorrow. So in the lesson, the fundamental lesson from Ignatius is, if he could do that, we could do something. All right, let's talk about Clarke's fourth law. Clarke's fourth law, probably not from Clarke, but it's attributed to Clarke. There are definitely 3 laws from Clarke because he wanted to follow in the steps of yeah, you know the guy, Isaac Newton. But the fourth law, for our purposes, is the most poignant. The fourth law is simply, for every expert, there is an equal and opposite expert. Our program, answering the 2 questions, who am I and why do I behave the way I do, is designed to, designed within the Clarke's fourth law framework. In other words, we try to avoid Clarke's fourth law problems. We tried to say the reason it's true is because this expert said it's true, because there's an equal and opposite expert that says, no, that's not true. So if we think about it from the perspective of religion, you could say there is the Pope who says Jesus is the way, the truth, and life, and no one gets to my Father except through me. And you can take the Dalai Lama or Islam, where they say, no, that is false, or Buddhism, Hinduism. No, that's false. In fact, more than half of the world, like I think 5 out of 8 people, maybe 6 out of 8 people in the world, say Christianity is wrong. And of those, let's say it's 6 out of 8. Of the 2 out of 8 people that say no, Christianity is right, amongst those group, like 0.1, most of them say, no, my flavor is right. The other 6 minus my group, or the other 2 out of 8, the other 2 out of 8 minus my subset, they're all wrong too. So the only people who are actually right are the people who believe what I believe. What I believe is right. Now, if you happen to be a Roman Catholic, there's a billion people who believe what Roman Catholics perceive to believe. But if you take that million, there's still a normal distribution, a bell curve, where some people are totally wrong about Catholicism. Some Catholics are totally wrong. Some people who identify as Catholics are totally wrong about Catholicism. Some people who identify as Catholics are completely right about Catholicism. But most of the people are in between. And that universe is a billion plus people. And so maybe 500 million people kind of have it mostly right. And a very small number have it totally right. And in each of those segments, there's another bell curve. Anyway, Clarke's fourth law, for every expert, there's an equal and opposite expert. And that is very important in, I don't have it, in volume 2 of What Did Jesus Actually Say? Because volume 2 starts with the problem of whether the Bible is inerrant. And the problem with that is the Copernican revolution. And the problem with that is that some of the big leaders in the Protestant Reformation, let's just say Luther and Calvin, the big leaders were adamant. The Copernican revolution is false. Heliocentrism is wrong. It says it's very clear in Sola Scriptura, it's wrong, and the Holy Spirit told me it's wrong. Now what? Your move. Now what? So we start with that, and then that opens the door for the Clarke's fourth law problem, because if the Bible is not inerrant, if it is the inspired word of God as written by imperfect humans, if that is true, then that opens the door for other truths to come in that are complementary, compatible with Jesus. Mic drop. But you'll have to get the book to learn more, and we is out of time. Oh, well, we're out of time. Not yet. Okay, so disclaimer. This is not to provoke people who are saved. If you are saved, thumbs up, good for you, not challenging your beliefs, not questioning your beliefs, etc. Good morning. Good morning, Denise Dodge, 6906. Good morning, Denise Dodge, 6906. Good to see you. So this is not for people, what I just said is not for people who are saved. Please, you are saved, good for you, not challenging your belief, not questioning your belief, not doing anything. These things, this course, this is for people who are nuns and duns, people who do not go to church, people who do not believe Jesus is who he said he was, people who do not believe in the resurrection. So please take it under that light. Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. And with that, I will say arrivederci paisano. And it's Wednesday. Okay, Ed cut. Bonk.